So we're good to go. So I'll just start recording the session and welcome all of you once again to this series that's about to kick off today. Uh, this is the first time something like this is happening at RCCIIT, so I hope all of you are really excited for this. We're going to be talking about everything related to the Flutter Festival, what it's about. I will be introducing the Flutter facilitator in just a short while. And yeah, I just hope all of you have fun and we can all learn together. So, having said that, I'll just take a second to introduce to all of you our Flutter facilitator for this year. His name is Shaurya Shikhar Ghosh. He is a Flutter developer and a second year student at RCCIIT. So, uh, a lot of you second years can maybe get inspired from this, and first years as well, that he is already developing in Flutter while in his second year, and he's a facilitator for the festival, right? So, with that being said, I won't hog too much time in this session and hand it over to Shaurya. Shaurya, you can take it from here.
Yeah, am I audible? Hello? Yeah, okay. So let's begin today's session. Good evening and welcome all. Welcome to the introductory session for Flutter Festivals. So before we take a deep dive into Flutter and what is Flutter, I'd just like to ask you a question to let me just know that what are your thoughts about app development. So the question is this, that which language can we use to develop an application for your preferred OS or any OS in general? You can hop on to slido.com and enter this event code there, 263791, to respond to this question. You don't have to create an account or something, just type in slido.com in your browser and enter this event code 263791. Okay, we got a response JavaScript. Java. Yeah, we can build an application using these two languages. True. Dart. Oh, looks like someone's already familiar to Flutter. Nice. Python. Yeah, it is possible too. C++ is possible too. Okay, Swift, Kotlin, yeah. Okay. C sharp, yeah, possible. Okay, so any more responses? Anything new? Any other language? HTML. Yeah, in a way we can, yes. Objective-C, yeah. Okay, so I think we have got the responses, some of the responses, most of. Actually, all of these answers are actually true, you know. Red. I haven't heard about this language, but anyway. So actually, we can build applications using all of these languages. All of these options are actually true. But there's a catch here. Like, you cannot use Java to write an application for iOS. Do you know that? Or you cannot use C Sharp to write an application for Android. So you see the problem here, that you need very specific languages for very specific platforms. Not all are intercompatible with each other. So we'll just maybe continue to the next slide here. Thank you for your responses. Yeah. So, is this question popping up in your head? Like, are you wondering that your app could be, run across this variety of platforms without any extra code? Like, you have written a application in a single language, in one language, and you expect it to run across platforms. Is this popping up in your head? You can type it in the chat box if you want. Yeah, Java really seems to have a big fan base here. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So if your answer to this question was yes, then yes, it is actually possible. And this is where our cross-platform development frameworks come to the action. Welcome to the world of cross-platform app development. And let's first understand what is cross-platform app development. So what is it? It is actually refers to the idea of creation of a single application having a single code base. Single code base means that you have used only one language or only a single framework to write this application, and it is guaranteed to run on multiple platforms. Like you can run the same application with the same code, like, and you can run this application in Android, iOS, and other platforms. So, what problems does it solve? What are its advantages? So, you have already guessed it, I guess, the possible advantages. This removes your, no, this speeds up your development time. Like, it removes the repetition of tasks. Like, every application has a front end and a back end part. So, just imagine if you have to write the same front end and the same back end in multiple languages just to make it available for different platforms. So, this will obviously slow down your overall development time, and cross-platform app development just aims to mitigate this. You write a single code base, and your app will run everywhere. So this was one advantage, and the other advantage is that it reduces the cost for development. This is also self-explanatory that you will have to hire multiple teams of developers for making the same application. Like you will have to hire a team of Android developers, you will have to hire a team of iOS developers, and the list will just go on as you target more and more platforms. So you get the idea here that cross-platform app development in cross-platform app development, you just hire a single team of developers who will build the application for you, and it will run on multiple platforms. So yeah, this was the advantage. And now let's dive into Flutter. So Flutter is among one of the most popular, if not the most popular, cross-platform frameworks out there. So what is Flutter? It was created back in 2015 and eventually launched in 2017. It is free and open source. That means you don't have to bother about the licensing stuff while working on your project. It's open and it's open source. It is backed by the community and obviously by Google. It was basically Google's answer to the world of cross-platform development frameworks. So to achieve its goal, Flutter relies on a library of pre-made widgets. Like you already have the necessary tools available in Flutter, all in fact, to make a very efficient app. What this means is even people with very limited programming knowledge of development or even very limited programming knowledge in general can have the ability to build and launch their own mobile applications very quickly and very efficiently. So this brings us to our next question: that what platforms do Flutter support, or if you write an application in Flutter, what platforms on which platforms can you run your applications? So Flutter has stable support for iOS, Android, Windows, and web, and even embedded devices. You know, the devices like your Android Watch or your Android TV, and it has beta support for Mac OS and Linux, but it is expected to go stable in a month or two. And now I have another guessing round for you. So the question is, how many apps have been built and published using Flutter in Google Play Store? You can again hop on to slido.com to give your responses. 10, no, it's just okay. The event code is 263791. No, 1000 is just two less, in fact. 90,000. No, doesn't come close. Millions, yeah, millions come close. Avogadro's number. Nice. 2 million. Yeah, close. Close, na? It's actually much greater than the actual figure. Just to give you an idea, Google Play Store in total has around 3.7 million apps. So, including all technologies and native frameworks. So, you can have your guess out of that. 1 million, 2 million. Is someone writing in the chat too? I don't know. Okay. Any more guesses? Haven't got the correct guess yet. 1.2. Actually, all these numbers are way too much than the correct answer. Mm. Well, it's less than a million actually. Okay, let's move on with our session. The actual answer is around 700,000 apps, zero point 0.7 million apps actually. So that is the number of apps completely built and published using Flutter in Google Play Store. And in Apple App Store, the number is somewhere around a million, half a million, 200,000 less. Yeah. So let's move on with our session today. So this brings us to the next obvious question: why Flutter, and why should you choose it over native technologies or over any other its competitors? So the first point is Flutter is very fast. Flutter apps are built to be very fast. It is because it uses its own rendering engine, the graphic rendering engine, and it is known as Skia. Skia is the same rendering engine that Google Chrome uses. So you all are indirectly using Skia in your daily life, and it is almost at par in performance with native apps. Native apps mean the apps built using the default languages for a platform. You will not notice a difference actually. The second point is it is all widgets. That means that you have complete control over the pixels on your screen. You can press a button however you want. You can rotate a button. You can put it in a corner. You can put it in another corner. There's just no limitations with the UI when using Flutter. This is one of the main selling points of Flutter actually. The next question point is very easy to learn and use. So Flutter is based on a language known as Dart, and Dart is also developed by Google. It is an actual active development, and Dart is a object-oriented language and has a very similar syntax to Java and somewhat C++. So if you are familiar with the object-oriented languages like Java, Python, or C Sharp, you will have almost no problem in migrating over to Flutter. You will perhaps have to just learn the syntax a bit, but the general idea and the syntax is almost the same. And the last thing is Flutter's one of the best selling points, if not the best, and that is its hot reload feature. This provides very fast testing. So what this is, suppose you have two screens in your app, like a home screen and a settings screen, and you want to change the settings screen a bit, the UI of a settings screen. And so you have changed the code, and the next thing you want to do is restart the app to see the changes. But restarting the app, like in development, you have to recompile the entire code and then launch the app again. It's a bit hectic and time consuming. So what Flutter does, it simply hot reloads the section of the code that has changed. Like you change the, for example, a button, it will reload the button and it will show you immediately that, okay, you have changed this code. So it will greatly enhance your productivity, and your, in general, development time will be greatly reduced. No other platform or no other technology supports this. App development technology supports this as of now. And the next thing is, let's know what are widgets. So, as I already stated, that everything in Flutter is a widget. So, you already have encountered widgets in your day-to-day life. Like in Android, there are widgets in. So you get an idea. Like widgets can be defined as the basic structural elements, like buttons, text, even an image in your application. Everything can be widgets. But Flutter takes this to a step more ahead. And in Flutter, widgets actually mean that even your entire application can be considered a custom widget that you have made out of pre-made widgets. Suppose you are trying to center a text. To center the text, you will be using another widget that is known as padding. Even that is padding. Even that is a widget. To center a text, you will be using a widget called center widget, and that is a widget to provide padding to a widget. Suppose you want to shift the text to a bit left, then you will be using the padding widget. So everything in Flutter is just a widget on top of another widget on top of another widget, and that is how the whole UI is built in Flutter. So that is why it is the famous saying that everything in Flutter is a widget. And now let's see how UI styling is handled in Flutter. So in Flutter, you don't have to learn any other styling files or styling syntaxes. Like if you are familiar with HTML, you have possibly heard about CSS. So, and you also know that the syntax of HTML and the syntax of CSS is very different. Like they don't match at all. But in with Flutter, you can just wrap the widget that you are willing to style with another widget, and it will be handled with Dart itself. No separate files and no separate syntaxes. So that is how user-friendly Flutter is while development. Okay, and now let's see a sample app that we have here. So in front of you is a sample Hello World app. You know the Hello World programs that we all start with our development journeys. So if you are seeing the import statement, you can see that it is very similar to Java or the other languages. Then we have the main statement, the main function. We have it in C++, we have it in Java. It is the same. The concept is the same, that it is the entry point of the whole program or the whole application. Then we have another function, the runUp function. It takes in a widget, custom widget of your own. This my app is can be considered as a whole custom widget. Then we will be covering what are widgets in the next session, not in this session. It will be too much for this one. And then you can, if you see the my app widget, you can see that it has a build function. What this does is it simply takes your code inside it and it renders it accordingly in the screen. So you have the app bar, the blue one, the blue app bar that has a text on it, welcome to Flutter. You can see the widget, text widget in capital letters. Then you have body with and it has been wrapped in center widget, as I told you before, to make it in the to place it in the center. And it shows hello world. Yeah, so this was a very simple hello world application written in Flutter. And the screenshots in the right hand side, the left one is a Windows application and the right one is a iOS application. And the code is same, no other changes and nothing is required. So now moving on to the next slide, let's just ask ourselves that everything has its upsides and downsides. Everything has its advantages and disadvantages. We have heard about the advantages a lot now, but it has to have some disadvantages too. So what could be those? Like there must be some. So Yeah, I have listed out some probable cons for using Flutter. Please hop on to Slido again, enter the event code, and take your guesses. Take your pick that what could be this. You can select multiple options if you want. Okay. Okay. People are actually taking their guesses. Thank you for your responses. But you'll be surprised to know that this was a trick question. None of these options are actually true. As I said, that very steep learning curve, well, no, it is not a very steep learning curve. I learned I just learned the basics of Flutter in about a month. Yeah, in about a month. And now the apps are very resource demanding. No, the apps are very similar to native performance. And a feature, well, no, it is also not true. A feature available in one platform, if it's available in iOS, it is guaranteed to be available on Android. That is a very good advantage of using Flutter, actually. So now if we move on to the actual cons, there has to be some cons. So let's move on to those. Thank you for your responses, though. Nice guesses. So yeah, these are the actual cons, but these are very manageable. Let me explain why. This is because Flutter, has an all widget model, which increases the app size somewhat sometimes. Like for example, if you have built a simple calculator application, using Java for Android, it will be having a size for like 2 MBs, the APK size, and the same Flutter application might be having a size of 5 to 6 MBs. So why is this? It is because perhaps you have seen in the code previously that I just presented that Flutter applications or the basic Dart code has some boilerplate codes. You have to write a bit more code for even simple things to be done, but well, this is not an actual problem because Flutter is never really meant for very simple purposes. Like it is built for very sophisticated designs or very high performance apps, or if you are, for example, developing a social media platform, you really can't afford to develop it platform wise using different technologies. It will be very time consuming. So this is what Flutter aims to mitigate, the problem it aims to mitigate. And yeah, it has a scarcity of third party libraries, but it though I say it, Flutter has already above 1000 plus libraries third party. So it is not really a scarcity, but it is comparatively a bit small if you compare it to its other older competitors or other languages. So but yeah, it is very rapidly growing considering the fact that it is only 4 years that it has been in stable development. So this number is only going to get up day by day. And yeah, if you are willing to launch your application for WatchOS, tvOS, and Apple CarPlay, you are out of luck as of now because we don't have its support yet. And yeah, lastly, we have to know Dart. But again, this is not an actual con because Dart is very similar. I already presented you the sample code of a Flutter app. So this was not actually a problem. Okay. So now coming to the next big question, what is its market share? Someone was already asking that what companies can we get a job in? So that if you are building applications using Flutter, it already has the total market share of 43%, and it's growing. And we should also cover the its other competitors too. So we have React Native. What are its disadvantages? It doesn't compile to native code, unlike Flutter. It just uses JS bridges. JS means JavaScript. It uses JavaScript though, and the result is a very sluggish app. You will notice frame drops here and there, and also the overall debugging experience is a bit hectic with React Native, because capturing errors in JavaScript is very difficult. Those who are familiar with it, you'll know. And it has a stagnant 34% market share. Then we have Xamarin. Again, it is built using C Sharp, big and slow as well. And then we have Cordova and Ionic. Well, this is even not a cross-platform app development framework. It just uses HTML, CSS, and JS, and has only 14% market share. What this does is it just previews your app in a kind of browser-like experience. So you will not get the native functionalities that, like turning on Bluetooth or turning on something from your app. It just simply doesn't support those. Okay. And the next big question, uh, the question we all want to ask before wanting to learn something, and that is, how much salary can we expect to get annually? So this was and it is the latest data directly out from Stack Overflow. The median salary of an average Flutter developer in the US was around $110,000, and salaries have gone as high up $156,000. So it is huge. Yeah, and companies using Flutter. So you can already see some big names here, like Google Ads, Google Pay. But yeah, obviously these are Google companies, and these are expected to use Flutter, because why not? Well, Flutter has been developed by Google, but it has also some very big names under its title. It has Alibaba, who has built their shopping app out of Flutter. We have ByteDance, the parent app of TikTok. We have Toyota. Also, we have BMW. Yeah, some companies are not present here. It's not the latest sheet. We also have Zerodha, the Indian company. They recently migrated from React Native to Flutter. So there's another company. Then we have eBay. Then we have Telegram, Nubank. Then we have Ubuntu. Yeah, Ubuntu deserves a special mention, because if you have installed Ubuntu lately, you perhaps have noticed the new welcome screens. And those new welcome screens are actually been developed using Flutter. So even though Flutter does not have stable support for Linux, but it is very close to being stable, since Ubuntu, a player like Ubuntu uses it. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, we'll be having some screenshots. Yeah, so these three screenshots, I have put this here because, as you can see, there's these three apps doesn't share a common design language. Like this app has a car in between and text behind it. Then Google Pay, yeah, obviously almost every one of us here almost uses it every day. So you all know its UI, how it looks. And then we have this new bank app. So as you can see that there's nothing in common in between these apps. So this was to highlight that designing very complex design languages is very easy using Flutter. And Flutter, there's no limitations, like you have to hold on to Android design language, or you have to hold on to iOS platform design language. You can build anything. Like anyhow you want to design your language UI. It's just up to you using Flutter. Okay, so this was all by my today, all by me today, and I'd also like to let you know that what's there in the next session for you. We will be covering the concepts of widget and a deep dive into the concept of states and state management. So these two are the basic building blocks of Flutter. If you know this, you can build a simple application out from scratch. And then we'll be also covering some very commonly made mistakes while starting out, and some best practices as well in the next session. And also, we'll be rolling out certificates for all the participants, but not for this session. For today, we'll be rolling out certificates for all those who will be joining from the next session onwards. And yeah, attending all the session after this session is mandatory to be eligible for the certificates. Yeah, so that was all from my side today. Thank you for listening, and I'll be handing this session back to Shubhatika.
Right. Thank you, Shaurya, for the insightful session. I enjoyed it a lot. And I think everyone else enjoyed it as well because we had about, I think, 73 to 74 concurrent attendees at all times. So, yeah, good job on that. So let's take a look at the questions in the Q&A tab, shall we?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so the first question is Flutter a language? No, Flutter is a framework like Java and Spring Boot, kind of. So the language that Flutter uses is Dart. They are different. Language for developing, okay, I guess. Can you do? Well, I have seen some React Native applications, and to be honest, they look quite similar. Like Flutter's code style and React Native's code style are very different, so you cannot really compare them. But the number of lines of code, yeah, they are similar in because even React Native is a bit too, lengthy to code like Flutter. Yeah. Okay. And what were the resources you used to learn Flutter? Uh, I used what was the name? Free code camp videos to learn Flutter. You can use them too. And yeah, you will be receiving Google Code Labs, free Google Code Lab subscription for a month. You can use those too to learn Flutter. We'll be providing you the links to register for those in after this session in the WhatsApp and Discord groups. You'll be receiving those too. And no, you can build apps in Flutter. Oh yeah, you can build websites using Flutter too. No limitations. Yeah, but there's only one problem that if you build a website with Flutter, it's going to be a web app. It's not actually a website. So again, the same problem, perhaps that it is going to be a bit heavy. It is going to take some time to launch. But if you're willing to build a game in website, perhaps a website game that you can play in your browser, it is going to be very fun to build it with Flutter.
I think we're going to be
Yeah,
having an event dedicated to Flutter and websites, if I'm not wrong. One of the
yeah,
events in
yeah,
the
yeah.
series. So yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
addressed then.
Okay.
So I think we have
And
a
can
couple
Flutter be
more.
used offline? Yeah, we can use Flutter offline. You can just download the exit SDK and you can code offline if you want. Where can we write Flutter? VS Code, Android Studio. You can use these two platforms if you want. And even IntelliJ. You just need the right plugins. We'll be sharing the list of plugins in the next session too. Yeah. So any more questions? Okay, Zomato also. I didn't know that Zomato was using Flutter too. Yeah, the developers might fix it soon. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
All right, so I think we don't have any more questions. If you do have questions and you didn't ask here, you can always ask in the WhatsApp group. Oh, do we have another question?
Okay.
Oh, we can discuss the dates
Mm,
in the WhatsApp group after this as well. So yeah, if you have any problems like that, feel free to write in the group. We'll talk about it there. Okay, so thank you all for joining today. That will be all from us, and we hope to see you in the next session and the ones after that as well. And this is one series that I'm personally attending as a participant as well, because this is something I wanted to learn for a while. So yeah, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, so that's all from us for, today, and see you soon. Goodbye.